Boo! Sorry for scaring you like that. I thought it'd be best to set the mood for the scary topic that I wanted to talk about today, which is contemporary art. Ever since that blasted banana got taped onto that canvas and sold for, I believe, $6.2 million to some rich schmucks, the world of art has not been the same. It's arguably the least amount of effort anyone has ever taken up on themselves and actually got rich for it. This is Æthyn, artist and musician on a mission, and today's mission is talking about contemporary art. I'm sure most of you have seen the videos of some people just screaming into the microphone or covering their entire body in glue, glitter, and colors, rolling around the floor with some rich people around them in turtlenecks clapping. Well, most of us, it makes us feel confused, I think is the word that I was looking for, and rightfully so, because these events, these artworks or performances or whatever are being sold as something meaningful and something that took effort. And most of us think that's not art. If that is art, anything could be art. And this is exactly the conundrum that I wanted to talk about today. The thing about contemporary art is that it puts expression above skill. And there's a cognitive dissonance that takes place when we witness something like that, because they're trying to make it sound so profound, and they're saying, oh no, you see, the stick man that I was drawing onto the canvas, it symbolizes the minimalism in a grown-up society and the lack of detail where it would be necessary. Or some pretentious shit like that. To a certain degree, minimalistic art has its place. Sometimes the artist intended something to be appalling or minimalistic. So yes, it's low effort. Yes, it's a little bit pretentious, but does that mean it's automatically not a meaningful piece of art? Yes, it's horseradish. But that's just me, I'm just rambling. Sometimes I wonder, how did we go from this to that? Leaves you questioning the entire field. So, what is art? A very simple question that gets increasingly more difficult the more you think about it. We can start from the ground up and say something like art is something beautiful created by a sentient being. Let's put it like that. And someone else might argue, well, what about horror movies? What about horror games? Aren't these pieces of art as well? A lot of times they don't look beautiful at all. They are pretty gory and scary, and the intention is not for it to look beautiful. It's still art, because it takes a lot of skill to set a scene like that. So skill seems to be a necessary component of creating art. But why? Why do we need skill? Well, that brings me to the next component, which is intention. The skill we develop give us the ability to put whatever we envisioned in our mind into form. I'm sure most of us had the experience. You pick up pen and paper and you try to draw, let's say, a face, and you fail miserably. You envisioned it so well in your mind, but you just can't seem to put it onto the paper or the canvas. Because at that point, at least, you lack the necessary skill to put form into whatever you envisioned. Next, we could ask ourselves, why do we need intention? Well, arguably, we can't do anything without intention. Well, let's go through this theoretically. Even if you picked up a brush, you went to the canvas and you tried to draw something. You needed the intention of picking up the pencil. You needed the intention of continuing to draw, and you needed the intention to end the drawing. So there's always the component of intention no matter what we do. We can take this example even further, because intention answers the question of who is responsible for this or that art piece. Let's imagine someone entered a prompt into AI, and AI created an image. According to their prompt, well, AI didn't choose to create the image. AI didn't mean for the image to happen. It just created it. Is AI the artist? No, it lacks intention. So who's responsible for the picture? Is the AI artist the creator of the piece of art? No, because they lack the necessary skill to put their intention into form. Sure, they're literate and they have fingers, I guess. So they have enough skill to write a sentence into AI. They have the necessary skill to write a prompt, but whatever AI creates in the end is surely not exactly what they envisioned. That reminds me of a story. I was part of a band once, and the guitarist one day came to band practice and showed us a melody he made with AI. And the other band members were saying, "Oh, it sounds amazing." And then the guitarist said, "Get this, thank you." What was he thanking them for? He didn't do anything. Son of a bitch. The final component of creating art is expression. Let's take an example. Imagine if someone drew a kitchen stool and they drew it perfectly. It looks just like in real life. They have amazing skill and they had the intention of drawing that chair. It still wouldn't really qualify as art because they, at this point, they are just replicating what is already there. There is no meaning whatsoever. They might as well have just taken a picture at that point. So there's intention and skill, but no creative process whatsoever. And this is kind of the problem with contemporary art. Contemporary art puts expression before skill. And this is what puts most people off. Most people I talk to feel like the recognition these kind of contemporary artists get feels unearned. It's not so much about hating contemporary art as a whole, because there are very skilled contemporary artists. It's more about effort losing any meaning in today's art society. There's really just a mismatch between what we see they do and the perceived effort they allegedly put in. You know, a lot of times Pablo Picasso gets mentioned because as he grew older, he started to do more minimalistic stuff, but he very well could draw photorealistically if he wanted to, which I don't think most contemporary artists are able to, but they insinuate it, you know? They insinuate that it took so much skill and so much art degree to create whatever performance they're pulling off, and it seems so disingenuous. It feels like as long as you're able to talk pretentiously enough to justify whatever you're doing, you can get away with anything. The skill ceiling is so low of calling yourself an artist. You know, the word almost loses every meaning in contrast to what these contemporary artists are doing. All of this pretty much boils down to three different views of how to pursue art, which is the first one, which is skill-centered but has no expression whatsoever. The second one, which puts expression over skill, so it has the necessary meaning, but, you know, not the skills to put their actual intentions into form. Which brings me to the third option, which I personally believe to be the most reasonable. It's a mixture between both. To use developed skill to put intention into form meaningfully. I don't know, I'm just rambling. Catch you later.